Welcome back to another video. We see that with the NFL draft coming up in less than a week, I decided that today I will go in and do a mock draft of this year's NFL draft. So let's get right into the video. So with the first overall pick, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars selecting offensive tackle Evan Neal. We saw the Jaguars had a tremendous offseason. They got a ton of players, and I think the only spot they didn't fill out was the offensive line, and we saw Trevor Lawrence got sacked a whole lot last year. So I think the only step right now for the Jags is just get someone to protect Trevor Lawrence. With the second overall pick, I had the Detroit Lions taking edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson. We know that the Lions are in rebuilding form. They've been that way since last year, so I figured they need help from either offense or defensive side. And in this situation, I figured just go out and get the best player in the draft. And at this point, it is Aiden Hutchinson. With the third overall pick, I had the Houston Texans taking edge rusher Kayvon Thibodeaux. I thought either go defense or quarterback here, but I figured since Davis Mills is a young quarterback, you give him one more year to develop, and this year you draft a quarterback in the second round, but also their defense needed help too, so I thought draft Thibodeaux here, hope out that defense, and then see what Davis Mills can do this season. With the fourth overall pick, I have the New York Jets taking safety Kyle Hamilton. I thought, just like the Texans before, either offense or defense needs help, so I just figured go with the best player in the draft, and at this point, this is Kyle Hamilton. With the fifth overall pick, I have the New York Giants going quarterback and taking Malik Willis. We know that Daniel Jones had a really rough season last year and hasn't had great first two seasons, so I think at this point, the Giants have no other choice but to go with a quarterback right here. With the sixth overall pick, I have the Carolina Panthers taking receiver Garrett Wilson. We know that the Panthers, the last two seasons, their defense has been phenomenal and their offense has been all the problems. And we know that the Panthers have said that they're committed to Sam Darnold next season. So at this point, just surround him with weapons, I think. With the seventh overall pick, I have the New York Giants taking offensive tackle Ike Ekwonu. I think that one of the biggest problems for the New York Giants right now is their offensive line. So I think you draft him and he will be the first step to fixing that offensive line and hopefully making the Giants' offense a lot better than they've been over the last few years. With the eighth overall pick, I have the Atlanta Falcons taking edge rusher Trayvon Walker. We know that the Falcons are in total rebuild mode right now after trading Matt Ryan, so I think like some of the other teams that have gone already, I think they just need to get whoever the best player in the draft is at this point, and right now it is Trayvon Walker. With the ninth overall pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking defensive tackle Jordan Davis. We know, like the Falcons, the Seahawks are going into rebuilding mode after trading Russell Wilson and releasing Bobby Wagner. So, and just like the Falcons, they just needed to get whoever the best player in the draft is, and at this point, it is Jordan Davis. I think he's the best fit to help out that defense going into next season. With the 10th overall pick, I have the New York Jets taking wide receiver Drake London. Since I had the Jets go defense early in the draft, now I think it's time that they surround Zach Wilson with some weapons, and here I think the best one is Drake London. I believe Drake London is the second best receiver in this draft, and I think he will be a huge impact for the Jets. With the 11th overall pick, I have the Washington Commanders taking offensive tackle Charles Cross. We know that the defense is pretty much already stacked, but I mean they didn't live up to it fully last year, but I think the offense needs more help, and I think right now they just need to give some protection to Taylor Heinicke by drafting Charles Cross right now. With the 12th overall pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking defensive end Jermaine Johnson. I would think the Vikings go quarterback here, but I saw they already extended Kirk Cousins, so I know they're not going to do that, and the only other choice is just to go defense here, and I think the best defensive option for them is defensive end Jermaine Johnson. With the 13th overall pick, I have the Houston Texans going wide receiver Chris Olave. We know that since I had them going defense early in the draft, I think now it's best off to surround Davis Mills with receivers, and I think the best receiver at this point is Chris Olave. The 14th overall pick, I have the Baltimore Ravens going wide receiver Jameson Williams. I know that Jameson Williams had that injury in the national championship game, that torn ACL, but I only thought he was good because I don't think the Ravens need a whole lot here. They have a high draft pick because of all the injuries from last season, so I thought wide receiver is the weakest position, and there's nothing better than just to have the extra receiver in Jameson Williams right now. With the 15th overall pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles going offensive tackle Trevor Penning. The Eagles seemed like they had a great future last year. They had that their defense did great. Their wide receivers looked great. Jalen Hurts looked good for most of the year. So I think now the best part is just surround Jalen Hurts with some protection. With the 16th overall pick, I have the New Orleans Saints going defensive back Ahmad Gardner. I think that the Saints defense needs a lot of helps, so I just went out and got the best defensive player, and it looks like right now it was Gardner at this point. With the 17th overall pick, I have the Los Angeles Chargers taking cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. It seemed like their defense struggled a little more than their offense last year. I don't think the Chargers need a whole lot to do in the draft, so I just figured since their offense is better, just go out and get the best defensive player there is in the draft, and at this point, it is Stingley. The 18th overall pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles taking linebacker Devin Lloyd. Since I had him go offense early in the draft, now I'm going defense with them, and I think linebacker is their biggest need on defense, so I just went and got the best linebacker, and at this point, the best linebacker is Devin Lloyd. With the 19th overall pick, I have the New Orleans Saints taking quarterback Kenny Pickett. We know that the Saints had a ton of quarterback problems last year, and the rest of their offense looks pretty good. They got Alvin Kamara, they got a good wide receiving core, and Michael Thomas. Hopefully he gets back fully healthy, and the rest of the receivers are pretty good. And with all their quarterback problems, Jameis Winston was hurt for a good part of the season last year, so I think just adding Pickett will give you an extra quarterback to go to if they continue the quarterback problems they had last year. With the 20th overall pick, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers going quarterback Matt Corral. We see with Big Ben retiring, and I don't think you could trust Mitch Trubisky a whole lot, and they had that devastating death lately with Dwayne Haskins, so I think even though with Matt Corral's injury, I think that you just get him to maybe be a backup to start the season, and then maybe he becomes the starting quarterback at some point, and then maybe the Steelers get to the same spot as they did last year. Maybe they make the playoffs again this year. With the 21st overall pick, I have the New England Patriots taking edge rusher George Karlaftis. I don't think they needed a whole lot of help, so I just figured the Patriots just get whoever the best player in the draft is at this point, and I think he would be the best player in the draft, so that's who I had the Patriots getting. With the 22nd overall pick, I have the Green Bay Packers going wide receiver Treylon Burks. We know that the Packers are a definite wide receiver need after trading Davante Adams and losing Marquez Valdes-Scantling. So I think Burks is the best wide receiver at this point, so I think it's the best one to go get to help replace both Rod Adams and Valdes-Scantling. With the 23rd overall pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals going offensive guard Zion Johnson. I think just the biggest need for the Cardinals right now is their offensive line. We saw in that last playoff game, Kyler Murray got sacked a huge amount of times. The Rams' defensive line was also extremely good, but you would think that the Cardinals need to figure out a way to stop that too. So I think Zion Johnson is the next step to helping fix that offensive line. With the 24th overall pick, I have the Dallas Cowboys going offensive guard Kenyon Green. We saw the Cowboys lost Connor Williams, so that Cowboy offensive line is going to need a lot of help, and I think the next best step is to draft Kenyon Green to help out the offensive line. Surprisingly, the Cowboys' offense struggled last year, and I think part of it had to do with the offensive line, so I think if drafting Kenyon Green will help out some of those issues a little bit. With the 25th overall pick, I have the Buffalo Bills going defensive back Andrew Booth. I don't think the Buffalo Bills needed a whole lot in the draft, so I figure just go out and get whoever the best player is, and at this point, Andrew Booth is the best player in the draft. With the 26th overall pick, I have the Tennessee Titans going safety Daxton Hill. I think their defense is in a lot more need than their offense right now, especially their only problems on offense is A.J. Brown wants a bigger deal, but their defense will need a lot more help, especially their secondary, so I think Daxton Hill would be a big part in helping that secondary. With the 27th overall pick, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting offensive lineman Tyler Linderbaum. I think that we see the Bucs lost Ryan Jensen and Ali Marpet, so I think that you just got to go out and get some more offensive linemen to help replace those positions and and get the offensive line back to where it was before. Because otherwise, the rest of their team's pretty good. They had a really good team last year, just they lost in the second round. But I could see them, with Brady coming back, I see them getting back to the Super Bowl next season. With the 28th overall pick, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting linebacker Nakobe Dean. I've seen that one of the bigger problems with the Packers is they've had a harder time stopping the run. So I figure drafting a linebacker, that could be a big part in helping stopping the line, and I think Nakobe Dean is the best linebacker at this point. The 29th overall pick, I have the Kansas City Chiefs drafting wide receiver Christian Watson. We saw with the loss of Tyreek Hill, I think the Chiefs just got to go wide receiver, and I think Watson is the best choice right now for the Chiefs offense. I know still losing Tyreek Hill was big, but they added Juju, they added Valdez-Scantling, and I think drafting a wide receiver will really help them be just as good, their wide receiver core just as good even without Tyreek Hill as when they had Tyreek Hill. So I don't think losing Tyreek Hill will be a problem if whichever wide receiver they draft at this point can be good. With the 30th overall pick, I have the Kansas City Chiefs selecting defensive back Kaiir Elam. We know that the Chiefs' defense struggled at points last year, and mainly their secondary was a bigger problem than their defensive line. So I think Elam would be a good addition to that defense to help that defense be better next season. The 31st overall pick, I have the Cincinnati Bengals selecting offensive tackle Tyler Smith. I think that we saw the offensive line was the biggest issue for the Bengals. That was the main reason they lost the Super Bowl. I think if they had a better offensive line, they win that game for sure. So I think they just have to go out and get whoever the best offensive linemen are that are available. And at this point, the best offensive lineman in the draft is Tyler Smith. With the last pick of the first round, I have the Detroit Lions taking running back Breece Hall. We know that the Lions, I had them going defense earlier in the draft, so now I think the best option is to go offense, and I think the running backs are weaker the running back core is weaker than their wide receiver core, so I think Breece Hall would be a good addition to the Lions offense to help, just the team in general to be better next season. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please click like and subscribe, and in the comments, let me know if you guys had any questions on some of my picks.